I'm Kristen Nolan, owner of Nolan Editing and crime fiction and speculative fiction specialist. I've edited about 70 novels so far, including two bestsellers. So posting today about crime fiction. So sit tight and we'll talk a little bit about accuracy in writing crime. So don't let your crime novel become a crime scene of inaccuracies. Inaccuracies decrease your credibility and authority, and your readers will not be happy with that. I absolutely love crime novels. I love reading them and editing them. It seems like I can't just get enough of crimes. I know it sounds a little weird. But when I'm reading them, I want them to be accurate in their portrayals. I don't want someone to touch something in a crime scene or contaminate it some way, and then use that evidence to convict somebody of a crime. I want to help you be accurate, so I've collected a few facts. It's just a quick overview of crime scenes, eyewitnesses, evidence, scientific testing, and confessions. Each of these aspects in an investigation are opportunities not just for you to be accurate, but also to eliminate evidence if it isn't handled properly, and it's an opportunity for red herrings. So the scene of the crime, it could be a body or it could be an open jewelry box, things overturned in the house. So it starts with the actual body or the jewelry box, and then expands outward. So it might include a point of entry. So maybe the window was broken and that's how they got in. So then you would expand the crime scene to the window. And then if somebody walked outside and you saw footprints in the mud, then it would expand to those footprints. If the footprints continued down the street, then they would block off part of the street. So the crime scene starts at the point of the crime and then works outward. Excuse me. Um, without being obvious in your red herrings or those kind of things, you want to have the most pertinent evidence at the scene, and then less and less pertinent evidence as it expands. Your opportunities for red herrings also increase with the wider you get that crime scene. So even that crime scene is a great opportunity for not just accuracy, but also to lead your readers in the wrong direction. Eyewitnesses. Eyewitnesses are terrible witnesses. The range of what people will see varies drastically, and this is because our brains take in certain information and we use it to process it based on our experiences. It's also difficult to remember specific details when you just have a few seconds of seeing something. And so one person might see a man who's 5'10" in a black baseball cap, jeans, and a white t-shirt. And then another eyewitness will see a woman dressed in dark leggings and blue tennis shoes and a light jacket. So these eyewitnesses even are great opportunities for red herrings. So not all eyewitness testimony is automatically believed. Let's go to evidence. Now, most evidence is circumstantial, and most cases are actually won on circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence is when a piece of evidence comes with questions as to under what circumstances did this end up here. Maybe a bottle used to knock out a victim has somebody's fingerprint on it. But what were the circumstances that that fingerprint got on there? It could have been a victim's guest from the night before, but they weren't hit until the morning. So that fingerprint is not necessarily the one they found on the bottle, is not necessarily the person who belonged to the person who committed the crime. So evidence, you can use evidence to lead the reader and your detective in the wrong direction for a little bit. And evidence also helps investigators recreate the crime and build a profile for the perpetrator or perpetrators. So evidence is very important, and it's important to keep that chain of custody and all those kinds of things, but also keep in mind that it's circumstantial. So you have the ability to shift the reader's focus in the wrong direction. Another thing is scientific testing. Now, one way to be accurate in this is that it takes time. While a DNA test may take 15 to 20 minutes right now, um, it's not going to be done in 15 to 20 minutes from the time that the lab gets it. So what happens is maybe blood is found on a piece of glass at the crime scene. So the people gathering the evidence there, which are usually your technicians, they will gather that, put it in a bag, log it, and process it within at the crime scene. Then they will have a request for testing, and they will have to get that request approved. Then they take it to the laboratory, and the laboratory then process it in their way, and um, then it goes into a queue. So there may be 10 DNA tests before they're going to get to this one, or there could be 100, depending on the severity of the case. So a murder investigation or a missing child investigation, those things will rank higher, and the laboratorians will put that in the higher in the queue of testing. So it could actually take from the time they get the evidence at the crime scene to the time the test is processed, or the test is completed, it could be, 5 hours to 3 weeks. So you have to be accurate in the way things are being processed. And I know it doesn't seem, as fantastic to get things done. Oh, it took them a week to do the DNA test on this robbery. But it is accurate, and you can have your detectives doing many other things while they're waiting for that DNA to come back. So I want you to be accurate in the fact that maybe a test only takes, an hour or something, but it actually being processed in the queue and everything like that, it may take a day or two. And by the way, the same thing goes for that autopsy. It also is in a queue for the coroner or medical examiner and their technicians to get to it. Another thing is confessions. Confessions are actually unreliable. People will confess for all sorts of reasons. Maybe they don't actually remember if they committed the crime, or they feel like the police have evidence, so they must have done it. Maybe they think a family member committed the crime, and so they're confessing so that they don't get their loved one in trouble. Maybe they committed a different crime, and they feel guilty because they weren't punished for that, and so they will confess to this new crime. If you really want to throw your readers in the wrong direction on a red herring, use a false confession. They are fantastic. So writing crime novels requires some knowledge of procedures and forensic procedures. You don't need to know it all. You can skip over some things. You should know some basics of how to use those things for your investigator's advantage. So if it's an amateur sleuth, they're going to be more based on finding things out about people and situations and the place, whereas your police detectives, they're going to be more interested in not just those things, I'm sorry, but also the evidence and what it proves. So I suggest in your quest for learning about this stuff, I suggest that you look at the How Done It series published by Writer's Digest books. Some of them are older, but there is a wealth of information there. And then to supplement those, you can always look up and research today's changes that may have happened, but they are a phenomenal start for you. So I just want you to be accurate, keep it real, and that's it for this one. Thank you. Happy writing and editing.